this is Annindita Palaus, and in today's video, I will be doing a book review of the latest book that I just finished reading. Actually, to be completely honest, I finished it reading a month ago. I got the book in the beginning of May, and it took me probably a week to finish reading the book because I was so excited about finally getting my hands on Sadhguru's book, Karma, a yogi's guide to crafting your destiny. I was really excited about reading this book. And it took me a week to read this book, and I was making some notes because I really wanted to do this book review. But at the same time, I was also putting it off because honestly, it is not an easy topic or an easy book to do a book review about. Sadhguru has once again done an amazing job of explaining what karma is, explaining the fundamentals of karma in very simple, easy language, and he broke it down into 5 sutras. A sutra is really a thread. For instance, the necklace that I'm wearing right now. I'm not wearing the necklace for its thread, of course, but without the thread, the necklace is going to fall apart. So the sutras in this book, they describe 5 essential principles of karma, or the mechanism of karma. In fact, this book has been divided into 2 parts. Part 1 deals with the mechanism of karma, and part 2 is all about karma yoga. And it gives a lot of different, very easy to do exercises that anybody can start doing at home. Of course, just reading the book is not enough for you to learn karma yoga if you really are interested in learning karma yoga, which is basically a kind of yoga that teaches you to handle your karma in such a way that it dissolves. And the ultimate goal is, of course, liberation or moksha or nirvana. So in this video, I will do my best to give a really brief overview about this book. Because as you can see, this is quite a thick book. It has 236 pages, and there is no way that I will be able to do justice to the information that Sadhguru has provided in this book in my 15 to 20 minute long video. And I don't want to make a unnecessarily long video on this because if this is a topic that is really close to your heart, and if you're really interested in diving deeper into it, then I would highly recommend that you order your own copy of the book Karma from Amazon. That's where I ordered it from. You can see the link in the description below. And just read it for yourself. One of the things that I was happy about after reading the book, actually while reading the book, is this, that my understanding about karma was pretty point on. And I don't mean to sound boastful, but the reason I was happy about this is because I talk about karma not in very great detail, but I do talk a little bit about karma in my Abundance Revolution workshops, where we discuss the universal principles of success and so on. And I have also made a video on karma, in fact, the law of karma, that is the name of the video. You can find the link to the video in the description below, as well as on the link above. And the reason I was happy to see that my basic understanding of karma was pretty much along the lines of what Sadhguru talks about in this book is because I have been talking about karma a little bit, not so much in great detail, in one of my workshops and home study programs. And so if I would have found out something different, then that would have meant that I would have to go and change the workshop and change what I talk about. So that was a relief. Now coming to the book. As I was saying, the first part of the book talks about the mechanics of karma and what karma really is. And contrary to the popular belief that people think about karma, is that karma is a system of rewards and punishments. But that is not the case at all. Karma is not about rewards and punishments at all. But at the same time, karma is about your intention. It is about your volition. So it is important to remember that every action will have a consequence. But the consequence is not a reward, it is not a punishment. It is just a consequence. And I often have in fact used this analogy in many of my videos as well as during my workshops, that when you don't understand the universal principles and you do something that goes against the universal principle, there will be a repercussion, there will be a consequence. That consequence is not a punishment. The universe is not punishing you for not following the universal principles, but it is just a consequence. It's like if I go to a new country and I don't know the laws of that country, and so I end up doing something which is considered illegal in their country. It does not really mean that I'm a bad person or I'm a criminal. It only means that I was ignorant, I just didn't know it. And so it might land me in jail, or I might have to pay a fine, or some other kind of trouble it might land me in. But that does not mean that I'm a bad person or I'm a good person. It only means that I just didn't know how it worked, how the laws of that land worked. Same with gravity. If I don't understand how gravity works, and one day I see on the TV that somebody has a cape on and they're flying in the air and jumping from a building, and I think I can do that, and I also put on a cape and I try to jump from a building, of course I'm going to fall down. It is not because gravity or the universe is trying to punish me for anything. It is just the consequence of a certain action. When you don't understand certain principles, certain laws of the universe, that does not save you from its consequences. It's not like you can make a mistake and then go to your parents and say, oh, but I didn't know that, and they will forgive you for just this one time. With the universe, it's extremely plain and simple, and it's also very fair. So it's not about punishments or rewards as such, but every action will have a consequence. And karma, in fact, is created by your intention, by your volition. Every single action has the potential to either create karma or to dissolve karma. And when we say action, we always think of physical action, but actually action happens on 3 different levels. It happens at the level of the body. It also happens at the level of your mind and emotions. And it also happens at the level of your energy. So when you understand that action does not just mean physical action, but it also means mental, emotional, and action that is done through your energy, then you understand that karma is not just about what you do, but it is also about how you think or how you feel about what it is that you are doing. It is about the energy behind your action. It is about the intention behind your action. For instance, if you do something for somebody with a good intention, now even if that action does not yield good results, but since your intention, your volition, so to speak, was good, you don't create bad karma for yourself just because that particular action did not work out the way you thought it would, and it did not give the benefits that you thought that the other person will get as a result of that action. On the other hand, if you do something for somebody pretending that you are doing it for their benefit, pretending that you are doing it for their well-being, but knowing very well within that it is actually not for their well-being, but it is for your own benefit, maybe you will end up making more money out of them by pretending or doing a certain thing. So in that case, of course, you end up creating negative karma for yourself, because your intention was to fool another person into believing that you had their best interest in your heart, when in reality you had only your own best interest in your heart. So karma is not just created by action. So if you think that if you start taking very calculated actions, then you will start having good karma, it is not like that. If you're doing something good for somebody just so you can earn good karma, that actually does not create good karma. In fact, a very interesting example that Sadhguru gave in his book while explaining about how karma works, because often people think about karma as being good and bad, and they think that it is better to have good karma than to have bad karma, and it is good to create more of good karma for yourself. That's how usually people are thinking when it comes to karma. And Sadhguru gives a very amazing example. I don't remember the exact example right now, but it was something along these lines that imagine you have to trek a mountain and you are carrying on your back 100 tons of trash. And now on the way up the mountain, somehow you are able to exchange that smelly trash with maybe some foolish person. You are able to fool them or whatever, convince them somehow to exchange your trash for 100 tons of gold. And now you climb the rest of the mountain. So what difference does it make whether you are carrying 100 ton of trash versus 100 ton of gold? The 100 ton of trash here is being compared with bad karma, so to speak, and the gold, of course, is a good karma. So people would generally think it's better to have the gold than to have the trash. Maybe in some ways, but baggage is still baggage. When you are trekking the mountain, your life will be so much more easier if you didn't have any baggage at all. Or at least, the lighter the baggage, the easier your life is. People think that we need to accumulate more of good karma. And of course, if you only want to make your life experience pleasant, then good karma is definitely way better than bad karma, because bad karma can definitely create a lot of misery in your life, and there is no point to unnecessarily attracting misery in your life, for sure. But if your goal is ultimate liberation, then you have to transcend the idea of good and bad, the idea of good karma versus bad karma. You have to transcend the whole idea of karma if you want ultimate liberation, ultimate freedom, enlightenment, awakening, whatever word that you choose to use, self-realization. If you only want to live a pleasant life, a comfortable life, then sure, just accumulate good karma. But if you are looking for self-realization, then you have to go beyond karma. You have to go beyond good and bad karma. Because at the end of the day, karma is still the luggage or the baggage that you are dragging along with yourself everywhere that you go, life after life after life. And when you are traveling, of course, it's way easier when you travel light than when you are dragging truckloads of baggage everywhere that you go. So now let's take a look at the 5 sutras that Sadhguru talks about in this book. Sutra 1 says that karma is about becoming the source of one's creation. Sadhguru also emphasizes on the fact that karma is not something that is imposed on us from above. It is not something that is being imposed on us from the heaven or something. It is completely self-imposed. So the whole point of understanding karma and how karma works is understanding that you are completely responsible for your own life and for every single thing that you have created. It's about taking 100% responsibility. Because at the end of the day, whether you see yourself to be responsible for your life or not, but the fact is that you are. So the sooner you realize that you are, you can start actually doing something about it consciously. The second sutra says that life is neither suffering nor bliss. It is what you make of it. And again, the way it is related with karma is not about rewards and punishments. It is about your intention, your volition. Whatever intention that you perform a certain action with. And again, when it comes to action, it's not just physical action, but mental and emotional action too. Your thoughts also create karma. If you think about, let's say you are really angry at somebody and you think about killing that person and you actually go and kill that person, that is one kind of karma. But you think about killing that person, but you don't actually do it. But every single day, you are thinking about killing that person because you don't like him, you hate him, and you have all these negative thoughts about that person. You might think that the person who has actually gone ahead and killed, he's a killer, he's a murderer, he's the one who will have a heavier karma, heavier negative karma, but actually the one who's constantly thinking in his mind, planning in his mind, but not actually doing it because he's afraid of the consequences, that if I do get caught, then my life is over, then I'll be in jail or whatever it is. And that's why that person is not taking the step, but they're doing it in their minds every single day. That person's karma is actually way more heavier or way more negative than the person who has actually gone ahead and done the deed. I'm not saying that to mean that every time you feel like doing something negative, go ahead and do it. But it's about clarifying this point that just by doing and not doing something doesn't mean that you will end up accumulating good karma or bad karma. It is really about your intention. It is about how you feel about that action. Your feelings, your thoughts, if it has been done in your mind, it has been done. And when you don't actually do it in person, you do it in your mind, you tend to do it over and over and over again. So in fact, in your mind, it gets enhanced even more. It is repeated even more. So often the deeds that we do in our minds are way more negative karma generating than the things that we actually end up doing. The third sutra says, there is only one crime against life, to make believe that you are something other than life. And what this means is that we all have this understanding of who we are based on our possessions. So, of course, we feel that we are our bodies, but we forget that our bodies are really just accumulation from the planet, from the earth. If we stop eating, we will slowly start losing our body, and one day the body will just drop off if we stop eating, just in a few days. So the food and the water and the air that we get from this planet, these are all materials from the planet. We are also very possessive about our belongings, which are again from the planet. And we are also very possessive, and we can also get very defensive or offensive about our thoughts and emotions. Let's say you are in a room full of people and you are having conversation about something, and if there is a person in the room who does not agree with your viewpoint or who does not see eye to eye with what you're talking about, most people would either have some kind of a negative reaction. Either they would feel that, they are so justified in their own thoughts and emotions, and they would try their very best at first to convince the other person to see their point. And if they are still not able to convince, most people will be kind of pissed or annoyed or even angry that why are they not able to see what I'm able to see so clearly? Why are they not seeing the situation the way I see it? Why don't they feel it the way I feel it? We all think and feel that our thoughts and our emotions are our own, or they are unique to us. But the fact of the matter is this, that even our thoughts and our emotions, which we hold so precious to ourselves, they are not ours. All of our thoughts are really thoughts that we picked up from our surroundings, from our cultural background, from our environment, from our parents, family members, teachers, friends, relatives. We don't have a single original thought in our mind. And a lot of the thoughts and emotions and even behavioral patterns we have even accumulated over lifetimes. So the thoughts and emotions that we think define us, that we are so identified with, are not really even ours to begin with. The fourth sutra says, however profound it is, everything that comes from memory spells karmic bondage. And what this means is that karma is really generated by memory. If for a second you forget who you are, you forget your identification with this body, if you forget or somehow you are able to let go of your identification with your thoughts and your emotions, you will be 100% liberated of karma and you will be instantly enlightened. Because we are constantly identified with the past, and the past is nothing but a bundle of memories. And because of this identification, we are in this physical body today, of course, and every single thing, the whole dramatic world that we have created around ourselves, it is all based on our memory. And finally, the fifth sutra, which says, pure intelligence creates memory out of itself. The rest of the creation projects memory as intelligence. And this sutra has been very beautifully explained in the book. Since karma originates from memory, naturally the next question is that what is the origin of memory? Where did it all start? And that is what is explained in the fifth sutra. What is the origin of memory? What is its source? How did the whole drama begin? The many creation myths in the world have tried to address this question in a variety of ways. The yogic creation story is a scientific truth expressed in strikingly poetic imagery. It tells us that it all started with a realm of infinite emptiness. This is a dimension that has no memory at all. It is pure intelligence. It has no form, no shape, no size, no color. It is, in fact, no thing. And yet it exists. This is called 𝐸𝐴, that which is not. It is the very basis of creation. Now, the very birth of form, even if it is a wave or just a particle, necessitates memory. You did not emerge from nothing. It is from the template of your parents that you were created. This means that memory or karma is a prerequisite for form. So how did the first form happen? How did it materialize without memory? The yogic culture personifies a certain concept, infuses drama into it, and turns it into stories. The story mode enables it to speak of dimensions that are beyond the realm of logic. And so it personifies infinite emptiness. It turns Shiva, that which is not, into Shiva, the divine being, who is the source of all creation. And so the story begins. It happened, Shiva, the Lord of creation, was lying in his nascent state, devoid of any karma. Then an element of dynamism entered this emptiness. This was Shakti, the active aspect of emptiness. She approached Shiva and began to play with him. The human imagination sees the first karma as a sexual act. And so, as she aroused him, he woke with a great roar. He now assumed the form of a linga, a primal ellipsoidal form. This, the yogic lore tells us, was the first form in all creation. And with that sexual act, we are told, the whole of creation began. The primordial sexual act between Shiva and Shakti ignited the void into a dynamic state of creation, maintenance, and destruction. And thus there emerged the grand theater of the cosmos, time and space, name and form, birth and death. Gradually, form began to perpetuate more form. Memory began to spawn more memory. The karmic cycle was set into motion. So that was a very, very brief description of the 5 sutras. Of course, the book goes into so much more detail. For the sake of this video, to keep it short and not stretch it too long, I was not expanding on the 5 sutras. But if this is something, like I said previously, if this is something that you find really interesting and if you would want to delve deeper into it and explore it more, the best source is, of course, the book, reading the book itself. And then we come to the second part of the book that is all about karma yoga. And of course, Sadhguru provides a lot of different sadhanas or daily practices. These daily practices are really simple, and I will not be going into the details of all these daily practices, but I'll just be talking about one of my personal favorites, the one that I have been more or less regularly, reminding myself to do. Actually, maybe I will describe 2 of the sadhanas. In fact, each and every chapter, at the end of every chapter, there is a sadhana. I believe at the end of pretty much every chapter, except for maybe 1 or 2 here and there, there is a sadhana or there is a daily practice. And one of the sadhanas from the second part of the book, the karma yoga part, which I really personally like, is based on the idea that selective involvement is the basis of entanglement and bondage. And by entanglement and bondage, of course, Sadhguru refers to the karmic bondage. And so he suggests this very simple exercise. You simply think of a person whose presence evokes the noblest and sweetest emotions within you. It could be a living person or a dead person. And then you try looking upon everyone and everything around you with the same gaze. If it is hard to sustain, give yourself hourly reminders on your cell phone. Maybe a simple chant or mantra or tune could remind you of this and just help you establish this practice of trying to look at everybody with the same amount of love and respect and reverence that you would look at the person or the object of your desire, or the person whom you really love and respect a lot. The whole idea behind this sadhana or this practice is to be equanimous, to be equally involved with everything without any distinction, to put all hierarchies away. If God comes before you, the same involvement. If an ant comes before you, you still have the same level of involvement. Because if you look around, and if you look at everything that has been created in this universe, you will see that the Creator has the same level of involvement in the minutest little thing. The level of involvement that has gone into creating this planet Earth, the level of involvement that has gone into creating a small little butterfly, the level of involvement that goes into creating a blade of grass, the intricacy, everything that is going on in a blade of grass, or inside a caterpillar or a butterfly, or inside the human body, or inside a fish or a tree. It is amazing. The details and the complication and all the things that are happening inside the smallest of the particles in the universe. You will realize that the creator is definitely not selectively engaging, is definitely not selectively involved. It is equally involved in the creation of the minutest thing in this universe. And so, when you start doing this sadhana, this practice, where you start becoming more equanimous, you start looking at everything equally, you get the qualities of the creator more and more. You become more like the creator. And the second sadhana, which is actually from the part 1 of the book, probably I should have mentioned it before, but anyways, here it is. Of course, all the sadhanas mentioned in the book are amazing. And ideally, I would love to remind myself of all the sadhanas which are mentioned, but I don't remember all of them. I do plan to write them all down in a notepad and just have them handy so I can try and remembering more of them every single day. But these two are my personal favorites too. So the second one is about becoming conscious of your likes and dislikes, your attachments and aversions, which is also known as vasana or tendencies. Vasana is a Sanskrit word which means your tendency, your inherent tendencies. It literally means smell, but what it actually means in context of this book is your inherent tendencies, your attachments and aversions. So Sadhguru explains in this particular exercise that a simple way to become aware of your vasana is to try to stay away for a length of time from that which you like, long for, love, or consider to be most precious. The intensity of the pangs you go through when you stay away tells you something about the nature and depth of your vasana. Once you have identified your vasana, you can start working on transforming it. If you are eagerly awaiting the arrival of a loved one, consciously wait a few moments longer before you meet them. Depending on how deeply entangled you are, wait consciously for a few more moments before you engage in that activity or interaction. For example, if you are extremely hungry and you are really waiting for your meal to be served, maybe you are at a restaurant or maybe you are at home. Once the meal is served, maybe take a few moments extra before you actually start eating it. And even when you start eating it, instead of eating it very quickly, like people generally tend to do, I know I had a tendency to do that previously. If I'm extremely hungry and there is food in front of me, I'll be just putting it in my mouth really quickly. Now I try to slow it down. Even if I'm very hungry and the food is in front of me, I will consciously wait a few more moments before I actually start eating. The more you do this practice, not just with food, but with anything that you are very eagerly awaiting, that you are very attached to, you will see that your experience of food or love or life generally becomes much more profound. In this practice, they actually suggest that gradually, from a few seconds, maybe increase the waiting time to a few minutes. So you start delaying your gratification a little bit more and a little bit more. And eventually, maybe you will be able to go without food for a day. And fasting is actually a great cleansing for your body. I haven't yet started fasting yet, but maybe someday. I'm not there yet. And the reason this particular exercise focuses so much on delaying your gratification is because when you are consciously delaying your gratification, then you are actually bringing in a certain level of awareness into that action. And consciousness is not a matter of behavior, it is the nature of existence. Compulsiveness, however, is behavioral. The moment you wait before you engage in a compulsion, you are aligning yourself with the conscious nature of existence. Over time, this helps weaken the compulsive nature of our behavior. So I hope you liked my book review. Of course, it was not an in-depth book review because, like I mentioned previously, that it would be very hard, probably almost impossible for me to do an in-depth book review, primarily because the amount of detail that Sadhguru goes into is just a lot, and it is not really my area of expertise. So I believe that I should not talk about the things which are not really my area of understanding or expertise. Of course, I understood while reading the book, but to explain it back to somebody else is a whole different thing. So if this is something that you're really interested in, then you just go ahead and read the book. I hope you liked today's video, and if you like it, then like it, leave your comment below and share it with your friends and family. And remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Bye for now.